Welcome back, everyone. It's 13 after 8 right now. We're breaking in right now to show you what's happening. This chase began in Baytown, and now we understand that they have made their way along the South Loop.
And it looks like Harris County Sheriff's, or rather HPD, is in pursuit of this vehicle right now. He appears to be traveling at a very high rate of speed. It's important to note that we are still in the middle of rush hour right now, and so you've got a lot of traffic there out on the roadways. We don't know what prompted police to start chasing this individual, but clearly he did not want to be stopped, and so this chase now has been going on for about the last 15 minutes or so is when we first learned of it.
And that traffic is really slowing down in the far right lane. Did you see that? I almost felt for a moment I had to catch my breath because I was afraid he was going to tail end that car. And now that they're going underneath the underpass or the overpass, we're going to have to wait just a moment to let Skyfox zoom out and try to find this person.
And so we believe that perhaps one, or if not more than one, of his tires has been disabled due to perhaps spike strips or something else, but he's still able to keep going, now getting back on to 610, it looks like.
And as we watch, he's moving over lanes now. I was really hoping just that he would stay over there and sort of stay out of the way of all the traffic, but just getting right in the center of it all now.
Yeah, he just passed the Stella Link exit, it looks like. So he's right here in Southwest Houston right now, headed back on to 610. It looks like he's picking up speed a little bit, but if you are just joining us earlier in this chase, he was going at a much faster rate of speed, and it looks like he perhaps has slowed down a bit, although he's still passing these cars, and given the fact that he may have a tire blown, he's going pretty fast.
Yeah, just moving right along. The wheels, the hubcaps, it seems like they're going along oddly, and now they're going fast. I don't know. It's almost like maybe they're fancy hubcaps, and that's throwing us off, the ones that spin.
Right. Oh, look, now the police officer is getting up very close to the vehicle, trying to see perhaps who's inside. There you go. He just clipped him at the end to try to get him to wreck out and
it's not doing any good so far.
No.
I'm thinking that officers may have been able to get in advance and stop the traffic, because look at this, they're not running into anybody.
Okay,
it looks like it may stop
got him
now.
to stop. Wow. So that was this pit maneuver that we've heard Chief Acevedo talk about, that he wants his officers to start using. As you see now, police officers pulling over and getting out of the car. They're going to approach this vehicle very carefully.
And this is where they're going to be telling him, put your hands up, get on the ground. They're going to be carefully watching every move that's made. And this is a situation that can be very dangerous, because if there are sudden moves, then we never know what is going to happen. But I did see another vehicle just drive past and keep going by, except to step out. And
you see a lot of movement there in the driver's seat. You can see he appears to be looking for something, or he's trying to put something away. It's unclear what he's doing in the driver's seat right now, but you can see him moving around quite a bit.
This concerns me, because I don't know if you saw it, but on the bottom right hand of your screen, the cars are going very slowly. And I just saw quite a few cars. Look, everyone's taking cell phone video. That is way too close for comfort. Now he's moving again.
Moving again.
He took off and is moving again.
Wow.
And if I was on that other side, I would want to get out of there.
Yeah.
I would not want to be anywhere close to this, because you don't know what is going to happen next. Gunfire could break out. It's just not a situation where you want to stop.
Yeah, that's a good point. So he moved up just a bit, and you wonder perhaps he moved up because police were telling him to move up. I don't know if that's true, but
he stopped again, so that does make you wonder if he wasn't taking action of what they were saying. And again, officers are just staying behind him. They're not moving up so that he can't move again. They're not going to risk their lives.
These officers have been highly trained. Okay, this is the third time now that he has decided to take off again, and you can see officers scrambling to get back in their police units to follow him.
This makes me think that that was not a direct command, or they would have been in their vehicles ready.
They would have known.
They seem surprised that he's moving again, and he's just moving a little bit, just moving a little. This is a very, very bizarre chase of all the ones we've ever covered. I don't remember seeing anything like this before.
Where they keep going after they had been pulled over. We've been wondering if the tires, if he's been driving on rims, because it looked like at some point he may have run over some spike strips and did cause some damage to the tires. And it still appears like he does have damage to those back tires.
And at this point, officers just slowly following along. It looks like he's going going to be changing lanes now, and this is getting him closer to the drivers on the other side, and I'm sure that that's going to be making officers a little bit nervous, trying to figure out how are we going to protect everybody else in this what appears to be a very dangerous situation.
So again, this is the South Loop eastbound at Kirby. These lanes have been shut down after this chase appeared to have ended at one point, but is now back on at a very, very slow rate of speed. You can see a number of police units still following this driver very carefully, hoping that he'll decide to pull over again. Interestingly, he made his way across those lanes of traffic from the right lane back to the left lane, and there's a lot of rubbernecking going on there on the other side here of the South Loop.
And I just saw the interesting and bizarre movement inside that vehicle when our photographer and Sky Fox zoomed in just then. You couldn't tell if he would, it almost looked like he was nodding off or dancing or, I mean, it was just odd movement of the head and the body. It just seems so bizarre that, do you see that?
There is definitely
swaying
movement in there,
and there's it's very, very odd.
Yeah.
Holding for at least 30 minutes, perhaps 40. All started in Baytown. Now we are all on the South Loop at Fannin, and quite a few cars in this area. So you're talking about an area where people are trying to get into the Texas Medical Center.
Yep.
And you see again, all the officers stopped. They're getting back into position, and it looks like his door opened again, and he shut it again.
So this is the fourth time, I believe, that he's now stopped. Each time he has not opened the door. He has not gotten out. We don't know if there's been any communication. Perhaps somebody has his cell phone and they've been able to call him. We don't know of any communication.
There we go again.
And now he's moving again. This is very odd. You're right. I've never seen anything like this.
Door is opening more than most it's been. And it looks like he's about to get out. It looks like he's about to step out of this vehicle again along the South Loop at Fannin Street. And here we go again. He's taking off. I mean, just eluding police. They don't know what to think. They don't know if they should stay in their vehicles, get out. All I know is they're doing a great job of stopping all the traffic, trying to keep everybody safe. Seems like they've done a good job of getting in advance of this and just getting traffic out of there as quickly as they can.
Yeah, as Melissa said, this chase has been going on for about 30 to 40 minutes right through rush hour traffic around Houston, and that left rear tire did appear to be blown out. You could see smoke at one point coming from it, and so that's what's caused this chase to go from what was at one point a very high-speed chase to now a very low stop-and-go chase.
I want to bring attention to the bottom right hand of your screen, and I want to remind you why it's so important when you see stop traffic like this. So many times you'll see people go into the medians because maybe they're frustrated and they have to be somewhere. There is an officer on a motorcycle risking his life to try to protect those drivers in case this guy does walk over that wall and try to get to some of them. So he is on this side now, and that's why it's so important when traffic is slowing down to not pass that yellow lane and to know that there could be emergency vehicles there. And obviously he's doing that to try to protect these people. I have a feeling that they're very concerned that he could try to jump that wall and get into somebody else's vehicle. And it would be hard at that point for them to be able to shoot because there are too many vehicles there to be able to pull that off. It would be tough.
That shows you why these chases are so incredibly dangerous, because they often involve innocent people and putting lives of innocent people at risk. You can see there he did. Okay, now you get the best look here of the tire.
And it is shredded.
How shredded it is, yeah. Okay, now he's doing a U-turn and appears to want to go the opposite direction now. With
right into them, driving straight into them.
Oh my goodness.
This is something else. And now he's changed his mind and he's going to back up for a little while.
Wow. Yeah, it did appear like he was trying to get over to that other side so he could perhaps hop the wall. He realized, no, there's an officer there. This is not going to work.
And now that he has done almost the 360, we've gotten a good look at all those tires. It looked from that vantage point that only that left back tire is blown. It looks like all the other ones are okay. Nevertheless, enough damage to really keep him slowed down and not be able to zoom off.
Right. Where does he think he's going to go? I mean, you just wonder what these people are thinking when they lead police on these types of chases when you've got so many eyes on him.
And you can tell that he keeps trying to figure out and keep thinking there's some way out, and it's not happening. There's just too many officers.
If you have friends and family out in this area, please tell them to avoid it. The 610 South Loop eastbound near NRG Stadium is shut down due to this ongoing police chase. You just saw another police officer blow past this chase suspect right now, trying to get in place perhaps up ahead.
And again, I would certainly hope that that's what that officer is doing ahead, trying to figure out a way to make this vehicle stop, because one tire just isn't doing the job.
Yeah, Alameda is just about a block away now. Yeah, at a couple different points during this chase, we have seen the chase suspect stopped. We have seen officers with their guns drawn, thinking that they would be able to talk him into coming out and surrendering peacefully. Okay, now you see an officer pulling up pretty close.
What he was doing, from what I could tell there, now that I saw a wider shot of it, I think that particular officer on the top of your screen was blocking off that ramp, because now that this guy keeps going,
that's what they're doing.
They're having to block ramp by ramp by ramp. He's having to risk his life to race forward and to make sure that nobody else gets on this highway.
Yeah, so on the left hand of your screen is from our Houston TransStar cameras. You can see he's right there at the South Loop. These are the eastbound lanes at Alameda. And then on the right hand of your screen, this is our helicopter Skyfox over the scene, giving you a different view, a bit of a wider view there of all of the police vehicles that are in pursuit of him right now. Those are HPD units, Baytown police. This chase originated in Baytown. For whatever reason, he did not want to stop when police wanted to pull him over. And just look at the traffic there on the westbound lanes. You can see how it has slowed traffic there, and it has caused the eastbound traffic to completely come to a stop. It is closed right now. No eastbound traffic on the South Loop. Right near NRG.
If you're just joining us, all this began maybe 45 minutes ago now at this point in Baytown, and it came all the way into Houston. It started as a high-speed chase. Now this disabled vehicle just keeps going down the South Loop.
For the public, because you see, it's just so important to remember that this is unfolding during rush hour still, when you've got quite a bit of traffic there on the westbound lanes. And even though there's no cars around him, this could still be very dangerous once that driver does get out of the vehicle.
And now it looks like he's coming into a construction zone, and I would sure hope that workers aren't working.
There's the spike strips that he just avoided.
Got out of it.
Oh, man.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah. They were trying to get his front tires to get him to stop, and he was able to go right around it. It almost looks like he is picking up a little bit of speed now.
And now he's off the freeway, it would appear, so it may be a little more difficult for us to keep up with him, because that's when he starts going under the trees and bridges, and it's a little more difficult to tell what's going on. But again, construction zone, and we certainly hope there aren't any workers out there, but he is off the highway, and it looks like getting away from that. I don't see any workers at this point.
You can see on our TransStar camera, we're now at the 610 South Loop right there at 288.
He's stopping and getting out.
Okay, the driver's side is open, and he is getting out. This is the first time we've seen him get out of the vehicle. I see a foot
on the ground, and we have not seen that at this point. It doesn't look like he's doing what they would be telling him to, which I would assume hands up and on the ground. It looks like he's almost getting something out of the back seat, doesn't it? I just see movement with feet on the ground.
There's definitely a lot of movement
on the ground.
He needs to have his hands up. He needs to be following their commands to a T in order for this to end the way officers want it to end.
Getting back in.
He just closed the door again, and we expect to see him take off again, like we've been watching him do the past.
And there you go.
Yeah, for the past 30 minutes or so, he's just been in and, or rather, stopping and going for the past 20 minutes or so here. But that was the first time where we've seen him open his car door as he was stopped and actually put a foot on the ground.
Versus a little bit wider shot where you can figure out exactly where he is. If you have to head to this area, please find an alternate route for a little while. It doesn't look like this is going to end anytime soon. It looks like he's almost pulling over again.
It looks like he had pulled over and came to a stop once again.
Opening the door again. This is probably the 6th time perhaps by now.
Yeah, at least 6th or 7th. And you don't see in this shot, but when a Skyfox pulls out, or rather you can see speed on the TransStar cameras. Those police units are keeping a safe distance, but they are right there and watching his every move very closely. All right, the vehicle is moving once again now. So each time officers jump out of their vehicles, weapons drawn, and then you see them run back to their units once he starts driving again to keep following this guy as they have tried multiple things now. Okay, you just see a police unit there race by on the dirt road there trying to get ahead. Here comes another one. Do those look like Baytown police units? I believe
it looks like, it didn't look like HPD. I believe they are. So you've got multiple law enforcement agencies out here trying to make this come to an end as quickly as they can, and it's been going on perhaps over an hour at this point.
We have had a lot of police chases in Houston, and I'm sure many of you at home have watched a lot of them unfold, but this is definitely one of the stranger, more bizarre chases, given the amount of stops that this driver has made, the amount of time that he has spent driving at such a slow rate of speed.
Take a look at the left-hand side of your screen through TransStar. This is the most officers I have seen in front of him, and now he's pulling off to the side to go toward them. Now, this is a first. It's going to be very difficult to get out of this now because it looks like now the officer on the left is pulled. Well, no, there he goes again.
He just went right around him. He's pulling up right beside him now.
And it looks like there's an officer's pulling up the strips right there, you see, so maybe more tires are blown now.
Yeah. And at home, you're probably frustrated and wondering, why didn't they just jump out and grab him, or why didn't they just ram him right there? Well, they have very special training and special tactics, and they know what they're doing. And because they believe that this man is armed, they are taking every precaution necessary to try to get this to end peacefully and not put other lives in danger.
Sure, and it's one of those things where in the movies, you know how it is, they just take out the driver. It doesn't work like that in real life. So they are giving regard to his life as well, even though I have to say, seeing some of the driving earlier, it wasn't reciprocated to other drivers, but I think why he was pulling over into those officers just a moment ago was he was trying to avoid the strip. He saw it.
Yeah.
He tried to go around it, and it's hard to tell from this point of view if he was able to avoid those. And you have to think about how many lives this is affecting because of so much traffic being slowed down and stopped, because you've got the Texas Medical Center very close to here. 288 is a huge feeder. You've got the Houston Zoo over there on a beautiful day. You've got Herman Park. I mean, there are a lot of things happening in that part of town, now heading toward downtown. And all of these people around him are at a standstill right now. They don't even probably know why or what's going on.
And he's not going to be able to get off, because we've seen officers going up in front of him, blocking off all of the exit ramps, trying to secure this area where he is. And because he's got a flat tire and his car is nearly disabled, they're going to always be able to get up in front of him and make sure that he's not able to exit.
It almost seems impossible, but I know that nothing is impossible for what we've seen today. These officers are doing a great job of it, but they've got a really big job coming up if this doesn't stop within just the next couple of minutes, because you have got everything coming in. You've got, as you mentioned, you've got 45 and 59, which would be better for people to take right now, but they are all going to merge. And it looks like he's pulling off again, and they're our vehicles right there parked next to him that looks like probably with the city.
But now this is the first time we've seen a police officer get in front of him and actually ram the back of his vehicle. Officers are getting out, getting in position, getting their weapons. They've blocked him in now. This is the first time that we've actually seen him blocked in, where he will not be able to drive off again.
This is over. They are not going to be able to get, he is not going to be able to drive out of it this time. You see a canine unit there. You see officers in every direction now. And again, I'm sure barking the orders, telling him to step out immediately. And it looks like at least this officer on the bottom of your screen has that concrete barrier to protect himself, because he can be on this side of it all and try to protect his fellow officers if there were to be some type of shootout.
These are some very brave men and women you're looking at right now. That officer who got in front of that vehicle did so quickly. You saw him run back to his own car for cover. cover. They typically take cover behind the doors of their vehicles, and you can see the SWAT officers wearing the shorts down there in the dirt, taking cover behind that concrete pillar there. They are no doubt barking orders right now as you see another officer running for backup there, trying to get this guy to come out of his car. And what he might be thinking, what he's doing, you can see movement once again in the driver's seat. We just don't know.
And you saw the canine, the officer in the back there behind the black vehicle, just one behind him, and just so anxious to go to work. I mean, it almost seemed like for a moment they were having to hold him back. Everyone and everything is ready for this situation. The driver at this point does not seem to be moving at all. I've not seen that door even crack open like we saw him doing so many times before, and obviously not following any orders that he might be getting at this point. And I'm sure he is getting plenty to step out and to get on, put feet and then body on the ground.
Right. He needs to step out, hands up, do exactly what officers are telling him to do. Again, if you're just joining us, these are the northbound lanes of 288 near Holcomb, where for the first time in more than an hour, we believe that this chase has finally come to an end, but we are waiting for the driver to surrender. He has stopped on and off throughout this hour-long chase, but he has not come out of his vehicle yet. He is given every indication that he is not willing to give up easily. And so now it is again a waiting game, but this time for officers, they're outside their vehicles waiting for him to come out.
And they were ready. If you take a look at the left side of your screen, you see the SWAT vehicle pulling up, and we saw the officers jump out of that a moment ago. That's the first time we've seen that. You know, it's been ready and waiting for this moment, and they were there, and they have finally got this situation at a standstill. Now is anybody's guess what is going to happen at this point. An officer we saw risk his life by pulling up in front of that vehicle, not knowing what was going to happen. But that particular officer in front of this driver's car was the one who was able to say, this car is not going anywhere else. You are at a standstill, and we are going to try to finally take full control of the situation.
Yeah, because this has gone on for so long, you've been able to get a lot of resources in place. So you see the Houston police big SWAT vehicle there. That's something that we don't typically see on chase scenes, but because this has gone on for so long, you've been able to get a number of different resources in place, and hoping that they can get this guy in custody very, very soon. Again, if you're just joining us here at 9:18 this morning, this originated in Baytown. We do not know why police were chasing this person, if there was some sort of a 911 call involving a crime that he had committed, or whether this was a traffic stop that was initiated by police and he did not stop. We're not sure yet, but for whatever reason, it was a felony stop, and they were trying to take him into custody for something serious when he decided that he was not going to stop and obey the law, and that is what's led to this police chase all through Baytown and then to Houston, where he went past NRG Stadium. He took the 288 flyover, and now he has come to a stop here at 288, the northbound lanes at Holcomb.
You have SWAT team members on the other side of the concrete pillar waiting to see what's going to happen, ready to pounce if in action we see other officers running from that SWAT vehicle over to the vehicle in front. And I'm not seeing much movement inside of the vehicle where the suspect is. It looks like the driver's just sitting there, not making any looks like moves to roll down the window. It doesn't look like he's having any conversation with them. Now, when we first started watching this, when it all started unfolding, it seemed like all the officers had guns drawn, and at this point they don't. So hard to understand what's going on there, but I'm seeing them stand down almost at this point.
And you've seen them too take different positions. There was just a kind of a frantic rush of officers moving. Okay, look,
he's moving. What is going on? No, this cannot be.
No,
this cannot be.
Come on! And now he's taking off at a very high speed.
What happened?
They had him pinned in there right against the wall on 288.
And there was no way to, there's no way we can even,
no, and he just went right past another SWAT vehicle there.
There is no way to even understand why that officer would have wanted to move that vehicle unless he was trying to get the SWAT vehicle closer to it. But this guy was just waiting to make his move.
Wow. he pounced quickly on that, and officers just weren't able to respond quick enough to trap him again. All right, now he's getting over into the left-hand lanes again. This is the fastest we've seen him travel now since that rear tire was blown out. He's just about on his rims.
It looks like officers are being a little more aggressive this time.
They're definitely being more aggressive. It looks like trying to attempt another pit maneuver here to get him to stop.
And now again, we are getting closer to downtown and closer to what is going to be more of a traffic nightmare. So officers are really having to probably move ahead, get in advance, and try to get that traffic at a standstill.
This is right at 288 and McGregor now. So you're right near the zoo, near the museums. All right, he's taking an exit, and Houston police just rammed him again. All right, now he's still trying to go. That was another one of those pit maneuvers, the second one at least that officers have used in this chase. That's the bomb squad getting out of that white truck right now. You can see officers once again, this is at least the 5th or 6th time they've gotten out of their vehicle and have taken cover, weapons drawn, trying to get this driver out.
And he's getting out. The door is opening now for the first time since
and it closed again. It closed again. It looks like he might... Oh, I thought that was his head out the window, but I don't believe so.
If you take a look at this situation now with officers in front of him and the way that he's pinned, and this will hopefully be the last time that he is able to maneuver that vehicle out, because this time guns are drawn and they are not standing down this time. They are ready for him to get out and for this to be over. We do not know what started this in the first place. All we are told is that it was considered to be a felony stop. We would assume that would be considered to be a serious crime, perhaps, that was performed before all of this started, about an hour and a half ago. Officers have done everything they can to put this to an end. He has eluded them over and over again with trick moves, and it's just been one surprise after another with this guy.
This is the McGregor exit right now, the northbound lanes of 288. He tried to take that McGregor exit. We saw this end for... what would you say now, Melissa, the 10th time with another pit maneuver by Houston police. And it looks like now he's pinned right between a police car and a bomb squad unit. It doesn't appear that he can go anywhere now. But again, we said that the last time, and he proved us wrong. He's continued to outsmart in terms of trying to get away. Okay, now the driver's side, and it closed again. And we've seen that over and over throughout this chase. They're getting closer to him right now.
And the dog is...
And it looks like they're approaching the vehicle. They're opening the door. And they're taking him out.
He is on the ground. This is...
And it looks like they're handcuffing him right now. There's a number of SWAT officers and the bomb squad right there to take him down.
And it looks like they're pulling the canine officer away because he is barking, and he is just ready to help them out and just ready to take his job very seriously, and is taking his job seriously. And now it looks like they have him in handcuffs, and they are pulling him away, and they have to be asking so many questions now. We have so many questions to ask about what happened and who this guy is and what he was doing. We saw him earlier. It looked like trying to get something out from under his seat, and we don't know if he was dancing or moving around oddly in his car. I mean, there was just been some weird stuff happening.
There is such a sense of relief on this scene right now. These brave men and women here in law enforcement from a number of different agencies have spent the past hour and a half just carefully trying to get this to come to a peaceful end. And this is the exact type of resolution that they want to see in these cases, when no one from the public gets hurt, when they've got this guy in custody so they can bring the charges against him. And they've just got to be feeling so thankful right now that this is finally over.
And you take a look at all the officers walking up and seeing how many people it took to make this happen. Herman Park, there are many hospitals nearby. If that's what they have to do, it's difficult to get a look at him, but it looks like they are rolling him away now on a stretcher, and so we assume that that's where they will be taking him. But there will be a lot of and it's difficult to see if there are any type of injuries, but there will be a heavy police presence if he goes to a hospital, that is for sure.
Yeah, they've taken his shoes off, his shirt off at this point, and now we have a lot of questions still to ask. Why were they chasing this man? Why was he running from police? So many of you have been tuned in for the last hour and a half right now, just trying to see how this police chase will end. It at one point was a very high-speed chase and then went to a very low-speed chase after his tire blew out after several pit maneuvers by police, as we look now at him being loaded into an ambulance on the way to the hospital.
And it's very, very difficult to tell, but you certainly don't see what would appear to be any gunshot wounds. You would think that that might be obvious in a situation like this, so there's no way to tell what is going on with any type of medical situation. But we will do everything we can to find out where this, why this all started in the first place. I'm sure we'll be hearing from Chief Art Acevedo in a little while. He's very good about keeping us up to date with social media, and so we'll be checking in with him and just finding out exactly what all started this. But we are glad to say that this has finally ended after at least an hour and a half of just making the police line up and chase him highway after highway.
And it was such a wild end. It was almost almost just a strange end, how those armed SWAT officers pulled up to him and then had to open the door and physically take him out. That they must have realized at some point that they would be able to do that, and they were very brave going up to that car and pulling him out. But this was such a strange police chase in that he stopped so many times and appeared to want to get out of the car, or was trying to get out of the car, but then he would keep going. And at one point, the police appeared to even have him boxed in against a concrete wall, and he was able to get away again.
It looks like they may have oxygen on him as well, so it looks like that there could be some type of serious situation going on with his body. We don't know what that would be. We just know that there are going to be a lot of officers making sure that all the medical workers are safe, that the ambulance, everybody in the ambulance is safe, and it looks like his right arm, probably both of them, are handcuffed to the stretcher
there. Yeah. Obviously,
and they're having trouble getting him in. I don't know if it's because they're on a slope, but it looks like they're just not able to get the stretcher up into the ambulance, which is kind of odd.
So they're backing up, and maybe there's another ambulance on the scene that they're going to try, or they're going to put him somewhere else. I'm not sure. But we were commenting earlier how we haven't seen this many resources on a chase in a long time, and that may have been given the length of it. They were able to get so many resources to it, but obviously you were dealing with an individual who they believed was armed and dangerous, who had committed some type of serious felony crime, and so they just didn't know what he was capable of, and so that's why you saw these large HPD SWAT tactical units, as well as SWAT officers, even the bomb squad, as they seem to be trying to put him into a different ambulance now.
It doesn't look to me that he's even conscious. It's very difficult to tell, but I don't see, he's not moving, he's not looking around, he's not fighting them. It just seems that he's very still. He's receiving oxygen. We don't know what type of injury or medical condition that could have prompted this, but what a dramatic end. We saw him pull over and almost get out and stop over and over again, and then SWAT had him surrounded. We thought it was over at that point. He was able to get around that barricade, and they finally stopped him here along 288 near McGregor.
So we expect traffic to get back to normal soon, hopefully, in this area, because it is quickly, it has certainly caused a traffic nightmare for a lot of people who, along 288, along the South Loop, we've seen major freeways shut down during rush hour.
And that is probably going to be, I would think, for a little more time anyway, because they've got to get him out of the way. They've got to get all these officers' cars out of the way. And then the fact that that vehicle is right there is probably going to be hours, I would think, of an investigation to comb it. And
this morning in the city of Baytown, at approximately 7:30 a.m., officers responded to a 911 call, which was later determined to be an aggravated assault domestic violence call. When the officer arrived, the female who was assaulted, she was pistol whipped, pointed in the direction of the suspect who was fleeing the scene, at which time the officers gave chase, entered our city from Interstate 10, heading westbound. And again, that was at 7:30 7 a.m. At approximately 8:40 a.m., Northeast Division patrol units picked up the chase, at which time we took primary on the chase. The chase lasted throughout our city until 9:25, at which time we were able to stop the vehicle at McGregor at 288. I'm going to let our sergeant here in a second, who had to pin the vehicle, describe what happened. But I'm extremely proud of our officers and their response, our air support, the DPS, Baytown Police Department. Everybody worked as a team. Sometimes a chase like this where a suspect is slow rolling, stops the car, keep going and whatnot. But one thing I want our citizens to know, time is on our side. We have time. We wanted to just wait it out, do what we can, because at the end of the day, we want everybody to go home safely. We originally had reports that the suspect had a weapon and had self-inflicted gun wound. Once he was pulled out of the vehicle, we didn't observe any injury. HFD treated him and it transported him to the hospital. At this moment, it's because the case started in Baytown, they're taking over the investigation. But again, I'm proud that nobody is hurt. We ended it. Want to apologize to our citizens. I know a lot of people, when it started, you're on the way to work. And when a chase is this long all over the city, it ties up the freeways. But again, thank you to the support for our citizens, and thank for the job that the officers did. I want to bring up Sergeant Simeon at this time.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Like the chief said, we've received a call from Baytown PD regarding an aggravated suspect that was fleeing from them, coming into the Houston area, and we wanted to, get him stopped, get him arrested. Unfortunately, we tried different techniques so no one would get hurt. This is rush hour traffic, Houston Freeway. We tried the pit maneuver, and just suspect continued to drive on. Later, he came towards the 288 northbound, and we tried to just kind of force him off the road, at which we tried to find a safe place to do that, which we did here at the service exit of just before the McGregor exit off 288. And so we're able to get him pinned in and get him arrested. He is at the hospital right now, so no one was injured. A little damage to a car, but no citizens, officers were injured. Suspect was not injured. So again, thanks for all the other agencies for helping out, getting this guy off the road. It's very dangerous. Just wanted to get him, just minor damage patrol car. We actually, luckily, someone picked up a older car, high mileage, so budget issues. So tried to get him pulled over. So we were able to force him off the road and get him stopped. Right. Thank you. Have any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah. So at one point, you had him boxed in. He was stopped. There was a police officer in front, a police officer in back, but he managed to get away. Can I kind of explain what was going on there? How was he able to get away when he was initially stopped? Maybe about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile down to 288.
We'll look at that right now. Remember what I told you. The main thing was to preserve life, okay? We had time on our hand. The freeway was shut down so we can do different maneuvers, but we will look at that. But at the end of the day, we're just glad that, you know what, we didn't have to engage in gunfire or anything like that. And like I told you, sometimes it's not pretty. You know, you don't have a blue book or something where everything works out as like it's printed. This is real life police work, and the suspect dictates, sometimes our actions, and we do the best that we can do. But we always, after a chase or after a critical incident, we always look at it as an agency and see, hey, where we can improve in our training and our operations. But again, I'm just very happy that no one got seriously hurt.
Well, we covered it live this morning, an unusual chase that brought traffic in southern Harris County to an absolute standstill.
The driver would not stop, even as police tried to force a stop. And just when we thought that this driver was about to give up, he was off again. You see how slow it got at moments? It was very bizarre.
Yeah, pretty strange chase. This was all during rush hour, starting around 8 o'clock this morning in Baytown and ending a full 90 minutes later near the medical center. Now, we have team coverage tonight on what happened, starting with Fox 26's Ivory Hecker. So, Ivory, what have you learned tonight about the driver?
Well, his name is Eric Brown. He is 42 years old, and he's expected to be booked here in Houston at any time now. Police say he was taken back to Baytown for processing after the arrest, and that is where this chase originated and where the driver is from. Police say this started as a fight between two newlyweds. They say that Eric Brown took out a pistol and used it to threaten his wife early this morning.
At some point during that altercation, it became physical. She tried to wrestle the gun away from him. That's how she wound up getting her hands injured a little bit.
Police say Brown followed his wife into the yard where he apparently fired a shot into the ground. When police showed up, he was getting into his car and the chase began. Brown was seen driving his SUV at high speeds, then very low speeds into Houston, running red lights, going the wrong direction down streets, and endangering countless morning commuters. Officers were warned he likely had a gun with him in the car.
During the pursuit, he was actually calling his wife back at the residence, trying to talk to her. Our hostage negotiation team was on the phone with him, trying to convince him to pull over.
Spike strips failed to stop him as he crawled forward, then stopped, allowing officers to get out, guns drawn. But then he'd start back up driving again despite a blown-out tire. Finally, a pit maneuver was used, and Eric Brown was taken out onto a stretcher and arrested.
He made threats to hurt himself, made threats to hurt other people. Some of his behavior was relatively irrational.
Back in Baytown, Brown's wife was treated for minor hand injuries at her house. Her family members arrived to show support after a traumatic morning.
What do you think about him knowing this happened?
At this time, I really have no thought. My concern is with my sister.
Police say the couple married and moved in together earlier this month. The next-door neighbor says her husband only had one brief encounter with the suspect.
He seen the man sitting on our curb. So he said good morning or something to the man at that nature. And the man didn't speak. He just walked off. So when he came in the house, he said, that was kind of strange. He's not too friendly of a neighbor.
Now, as for the gun used in the crime, police say they have not found it. It wasn't in Brown's car or in his house. They're now checking dash cam video to see if he may have thrown it out the window during the police chase. Police say that Brown is now charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and felony evading. Live in Houston, Ivory Hecker, Fox 26 News.
Now, we posted video of this chase on our Facebook page, and it has already been viewed more than 500,000 times. One question, though, that people are asking, why police didn't stop the driver when they seem to have several chances.
We sent Fox 26's John Donnelly to try to find the answer to that, and he joins us now in studio. So, John, what'd you learn?
Well, you know, lots of people were late to work or missed flights as a result of this chase, and that does have many people asking, did the police do enough to stop it quickly? Some people were late to work because they either got caught up in the traffic jams it caused, or they couldn't stop watching the drama as it all unfolded live.
I think they did a pretty good job, though. Did a pretty good job. They could have maybe stopped them a little sooner, though. I don't think they should have let it go on so far.
His point is not without some merit. At several points in the chase, it looked like police had him cornered or stopped, only to have him slip away. Comments on social media poured in, wondering why they didn't ram the car or set up a roadblock.
Every situation is rapidly evolving, especially one where there's a chase and somebody may have a weapon.
That's Houston Police Officers Union President Joe Gamaldi. He says the department is in the process of rewriting its chase policy. He says because they believed the suspect had a weapon, the last thing they wanted to do was provoke a gunfight along a busy highway. Why not set up a roadblock? The suspect might try to ram it, risking injury to officers. He says they are teaching the officers now the pit maneuver. That's where a patrol car rams the rear corner of the suspect vehicle to get it spin out. They tried it twice during the chase. The first time it failed. The second time it worked according to plan.
There are certain tactics we use that we don't want the public knowing exactly what we're doing, especially when it comes to chases, because those can be some of the most dangerous things that we're involved in.
Social media can be a savage and hypercritical place. However, many of the comments on the Fox Facebook page posted during the live feed praise the police for their restraint, and several drivers told us they'd rather the bad guy get away than anyone else get hurt.
I felt like they were trying to protect the people that were oncoming traffic on the other side. It wasn't that far away, and I felt like they did as much as they could.
We are still waiting to hear when that new chase policy will be completed and go into effect. But Gamaldi says regardless, during any chase, one person can end it at any time. And that's the person being chased. John Donnelly, Fox 26 News.
John, thank you. Well, that wasn't the only chase in our area today. Another man was arrested for leading Houston police on a chase on the Gulf Freeway this afternoon. This one lasted for about 30 minutes. It began at Gulf Freeway and Fuquay Street in southeast Houston with a self-initiated patrol investigation. The driver of a Ford F-150 took off, flying down Gulf Freeway at some pretty high speeds until he finally exited, pulled over, and surrendered on Hughes Road out in Dickinson.